everyone, and I am back, but today we are making a prop. We are making the handbook for the recently deceased from Beetlejuice. These are some of the products that you will need. Some of these are optional and some of these are must-have. So we have the paint palette, which is needed, scissors, which are needed, box cutter is optional, 12-inch ruler, which is needed. We also have paint brushes, which are needed. We have different types of paint, which some of these are optional. We have our glue gun and the glue sticks, which is needed. We have Scotch tape, which is needed, and it has to be the shipping tape. And we have a box as well, which is a 7-inch length, 4-inch width, and 11-inch height. It just has to be the shape of a book. This is the one I went with though, and this is what we're going to be using for this prop. So to start, I am sealing all of the openings of the box with my shipping Scotch tape, and I only had one side that was open, so I sealed it. I'm now using white cardstock paper, and I am lining it up on the edges here of the 11-inch corner there, the edge, and I'm gonna be adding glue onto the paper as well as glue onto the box and start gluing on the side there. You want to make sure to completely line it up, and you're gonna be doing strips all throughout. Make sure to try to keep it as close as possible, and remember that hot glue does dry pretty quickly, so as soon as you lay down that glue, stick it down. Be aware it is going to be very hot. I did actually kind of burn my hands just a little bit because it was really hot when I was pushing down on the paper, because it is a very quick process, but it is one of the best ways to go ahead and make this. And you're going to put it all the way to the edge. As you can see, we're going to go ahead and grab another piece of cardstock now. We're going to be lining it on the edge of the width of the box. I even lined it up and then I went ahead and sketched it just to cut it out. We're going to be doing this as the binding of the book, so it's going to be like normally where the title of the book is sometimes. In this book they didn't have a title that I saw, I just kind of left that empty, but I am gluing that with the same process as we did before in just one strip on the corner, and we're going to just go down with lines of glue, push it down again, and then just continue with the lines. And just try to put it all the way to the corner, like I said, because this is technically that side of the book. Not where the pages are, but the side where like normally they would write like the title of the book again. Next, I actually had brown craft paper, and I went ahead and outlined it again, and this is for the bottom. So I went ahead and cut that out and just lined it up because we do have tape in that area, or you might even have stuff from the box, and you're going to do this for the side as well because this is where the paper would normally go of the book, and you're going to go ahead and glue it all the way in the corner with your hot glue gun as well. Try to actually add this into the crease. As you can see, the white cardstock made it look like it's an actual book at the front of it. So this is the front of our book where you would normally see the pages. It is the same color as the cardboard box, and the handbook for the recently deceased does have like older pages, so it does have more of that yellowish tint, so we do want to keep that brown craft paper. And I did the same for the top and the bottom. I ran out of craft paper at one point. I only had one sheet. I do recommend having 2 sheets of 8.5 by 11, and then you could actually go ahead and glue it on perfectly even, just pretty much cut out 2 of the same, but this one I just did little tiny scraps to make it all and cover up just the tape mainly. And this part I actually made the bottom of my book because of this reason, but definitely recommend you to have 2 pieces of 8.5 by 11-inch craft paper. Next, I grabbed another piece of white cardstock and I went ahead and added some glue on the corner and lined it up with the other corner to create the top of our book. And I just glued it down all the way down to the side, and we continued. Like I said, this is the best way to do it. You know, some people like to put glue just all on the sheet and then glue it down, but you're more likely that your page is going to rise up if you do it that way, because some areas of the glue might have dried already by the time you start flattening your paper. So there is our book. It is pretty much just a blank white book at this point, so you're going to need paint. I have some dark red paint that I added purple to. I actually ended up having to add a lot more purple to mix it and make it this, it's like a maroon color that we need. So just mix it until you're able to get that maroon color. And on the actual screen, it looks slightly different, but we are getting that purple maroonish color that the actual handbook is. And you're just going to be painting it with strokes. It doesn't need to be perfect because the Handbook for the Recently Deceased is an older book. It is supposed to give that like deadly type look as well. So just go ahead and do a bunch of strokes until it's nice and even. Of course, you don't want it to be able to see like the white paper all the way, but as long as it looks, you're giving it that old texture. You're also going to do this on the side of the book and on the top. So any of the white cardstock pieces is where you're going to add this red maroon type paint. And I do suggest having like not a super small brush, but as you can see my strokes are kind of medium. So like a medium small paintbrush to go ahead and do your strokes and give it that textured look. So also you can buy paint that's already that color if you're not that great at mixing colors and paints, which is why I put some of the paints as optional. So definitely take a look. Walmart has a bunch of these paints for super cheap. You can get them for 50 cents to $1 sometimes. So totally take a look, and it's just regular acrylic paint. And be very careful because these edges here, you want to make sure to paint the inside but not paint the craft paper. You want to be very, very careful to kind of steer away from that, and be careful of bending it. You don't want the paper to dry curved because then it's going to look like it's not an actual book. You want to make sure to maintain them straight. So try to straighten out that paper as best as you can, which is why we're using cardstock and not regular printer paper. Now I'm using white and yellow, and I'm going to be mixing it with a little bit of brown so we can go ahead and get that that kind of old style vibe that books get on their pages when they've been sitting on the shelf for way too long. So you're just going to be pretty much adding strokes. At this point, it is okay to look at some areas of the craft paper. Some of the craft paper might be standing up, and that's totally okay. That is actually the reason why we made sure to use craft paper and not white paper, because we wanted to continue with that older look. After everything has dried, you're going to go ahead and do which side is going to be your front of your book, and you're going to go towards, not all the way towards the middle, but kind of in the middle, and you're going to paint a line with that same brownish oldish tint color that you made. You're going to paint a straight line in the middle, leave about ½ an inch on each side, and you're going to start sketching out the title, Handbook for the Recently Deceased. You know, the handbook goes up top, and then for the goes next with recently deceased afterwards. So it's recently and then deceased. But try to, as best as you can, create the same text with the with your pencil. Like it is kind of tough, and then just kind of eyeball it from here. It does not need to be perfect because, like I said, we are going for an older style book, but try your best to do the text look very similar. That way you still give the illusion that it is the book from the movie. And what I do recommend is using a smaller brush for this. I also will be including a step-by-step guide with words and pictures on how to make this book on your own if the video is a little too fast-paced for you, or you are more of a reading type person with pictures, on my Patreon tier 3. So that will be up very soon. So if you want to go ahead and subscribe for the month of October, or just become a patron for just you know, helping me with my cosplays, definitely go ahead and take a look at the link that's in the description below. Alright, so I'm just doing touch-ups pretty much on the lettering, and afterwards we have two options. So this is where the extra paint comes in. So I am doing the blue background that is in the picture, and you want a light blue to go ahead and do that blue background, and you're also going to keep that yellow, brown, white paint that you made to go ahead and do the border around the blue. But be aware that the actual image that's in there with the male and the female and the clouds might be a little hard to recreate accurately. If you're one of those kind of people that would like it to be as accurate as possible, I do recommend to go find an image on Google, print it, but you're not going to be printing it at a full 8.5 by 11. You're actually going to be scaling it down to the next scale, which is 5 by 7 inches is what I recommend you to scale down the image and then print it. That way you are gluing the male, the female, and the clouds. Just be very careful when cutting it out. You will see I do have to go kind of all the way around the edges there, just very carefully with my craft scissors to go ahead and glue that with hot glue. If you want to paint it manually, that is awesome too, and that's where the extra acrylic paint comes in. But just be aware it might be a little difficult, and you do have to do it in layers and allow everything to dry. So once it has been cut out, just go ahead and add some hot glue on the back, and you're going to go ahead and stick it down. And that is pretty much the end of the book. Like I said, if you want to see the final, actually, if you want to see the final pictures, go ahead and check out my Instagram. The link is below. And then also, if you want to go ahead and get like a step-by-step handbook of this, it is going to be on my tier 3 Patreon, which is $6 a month. So totally go ahead and check out the link below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all in the next video. Alright, bye everyone!